Okay, I'm gonna go over a tweet that I've been sending out to various people to try to fish out some information about the use of these frozen fetuses that were the... Okay, well, here's the tweet, and I can correct it, so that's good. Something is really wrong with the WXYZ in Detroit account versus also the new owner of Perry's funeral home. They described the raid as discovering improperly stored fetuses. It made me think, well, it didn't make me think that they were for science, but it made me think that they were trying to imply that there was some scientific or legitimate purpose for having these babies, since a mortuary is supposed to embalm or incinerate, and it didn't seem like the mortuary had their incinerator breakdown, which in other cases the incinerator breaking down is the reason for storing up bodies or burying them, or like they would... Anyways, the new owner was told to inspect. He got a call before the raid, and he was told to check that there might be some bodies in his house. Now, what kind of freaking dispatcher, if you were telling somebody on dispatch that you discovered a body, they would tell you to go touch him? This is really pissing me off. Like, not that nobody's talking about it, but because when you get to a point where you can't get any more questions, that's the point where it becomes potentially offensive. If you talk about it, then you're inciting, you know. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's a Confucian society taking over in a Taoist kind of where a Taoist society would be before, because whether or not the individual is it's like the natural living man thing, right? Like, is the state have ultimate I guess, what do you know, what's the word? Does the state have precedence, and as like far as like it's, or does the individual have precedence over the state, you know? And where the media is state-run media, you know, it's not even the United States, it's state-run media, but it's not necessarily even the United States, it's the US, right? The Uniform Commercial purposes for the well, it's basically jailers, legislation, you know. I can't really get into that stuff right now. That's another whole different area for videos. But okay, so the new owner was told to inspect pre-raid and found them stuffed in the attic, mummified. Still, what were they used for by the previous owners, right? Because I would have to accept that this new owner, because he's a new owner, that he's totally outside of any culpability. But, you know, that alone, I would need more postulations for me to start to suggest that he's anything other than who he says he is. So this is a weird story where they're like, okay, so then he's like, and I saw his video, he's like, I checked around, I looked up in the attic, and I saw there's these mummies stuffed up there, or these babies are stuffed up there, mummified. I thought they were, well, see, the thing is, that's not, the news didn't report 63 frozen fetuses. They reported 11 infants found in a home, and then later on they reported Perry Funeral Home had given some lady the wrong baby at the funeral, and she's like, this isn't my baby, it's not my baby. So the purpose of them for like maybe switching babies out because it's some sort of racket doesn't make sense, because what kind of sustainable business model is it for you to take penitentiary chances every time that you get an account? You know, that's stupider than the mortician, where the guy wakes up on the mortician's table after being in a coma and being pronounced dead, and the mortician just like, you know, saying, I need this account, and he hits him on the head with the hammer and puts him back out, because they need that account to make bills for maybe a new incinerator or something. But if they would have realized that the PR that they would have got would have brought people from all other counties, right, in accounts, and then they would have made a bank, you know. But they have to be that smart in order to do the right thing. And if they're not that smart, then they're not going to have any compunction, and they're not really going to think anything of it. That's not even weird. Like, yo, that's not even weird. I don't even think about that when I eat my cornflakes, when I pour my cornflakes. So what were they used for from the previous owner has to be a question on the mind of anybody interested in an investigation or solving the case. Otherwise, you're hoping that it'll go away. The media didn't say that they were supplied by Detroit Medical Center, and didn't mention the 63 of which, like, some of these fetuses were babies. Why have those? You know, because a mortuary is not an extension of a medical college or of Detroit Medical Center. If they're like one of those, like, I know UC Davis Medical Center is a college, right? So they would have a purpose for having them. But a funeral home, what are they getting out? What are they being used for? The fuck is it's so fucking weird. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, unless you want to suggest that this is something like what happened with the Atlanta child murders, you know, and that collecting of genetic material and research, or Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer was part of some shit where he got cut loose because he was doing this weird. He was doing shit on his own. Like, you know, he had a drill. He was like getting people prepared for some kind of way. He was like he was into the eating pineal glands and shit, because it's like a muscle relaxer, you know. Fucking melanin collects in the hands, feet, and testicles, and the pineal gland, which is, or I guess, the pituitary gland, right? I know those are two separate glands. I'm not really that smart, you know, like smart like in one area. But what's with the wordplay? Improperly stored. Improperly stored means that you have some idea what their purpose is for, and you think you're being clever. What the fuck? Like, local syndicated news is just as much a bunch of pieces of shit as the big time. It's making me irritated. They found 11 infants in the first raid on some homes connected to Detroit Medical Center. 63 fetuses in the second. Well, I don't even know if it's the second raid. The second raid that I know of. More raids to come. Detroit residents are saying it's worse than the media puts on. They're praying, they're saying, invoking Jesus, praying Jesus, right? For, you know, beset by these NPCs telling them the way the program is going to go, you know? They're letting you know, in light of your findings, the way that they're going to go with the story. And then John Podesta tweeted some like MAGA bomber was like, wait till the right wing claims that he was deep state, right? Um, but anyway, this shit is these actors are like they do too much. Like they put too much on. It's like the person who spray painted nigger on his own car and then or some shit like that. Like, yeah, you know, and then kill a bunch of people and blame it on a black person or something and get caught. That shit happened a hell of a long time ago. You know, but that's like, if you study John Podesta's tweets, you see that he's really just off the fucking hook. He's off the chain. He's not on the frequency. He's not processing. And these people, they think they have a choice, but that's only because in actuality they have to probably give up everything to be honest. There's nothing, they have to give up everything to be honest. They have to face wrath, you know, because it's nothing, you know. They're nothing people. Okay, and that's that, and that is just that.